I'm going for whistling. Can this guy not? Oh, he's drinking water.
We are really sorry. I'm going to talk in English for men to understand. I'm sure that all of you understand it. So, we were walking in the middle of Lisbon. It was nice, right, man?
Beautiful, very active. Yeah, it's a beautiful parade.
So, we are going to start the Q&A. We don't have that much time, but we'll try to answer the most questions we can. Okay, who wants to be the first one? Right there, in the back.
Dude, can you not? Like, because Matt. Yeah, because, dude. You. It's wrong. Yeah, like, it just looking into my eyes. Not even joking.
Considering this tour was your longest tour to date, and you spent a lot of time on the road, how do you think it has affected, either in a positive or negative way, the process of writing and composing and then recording the Trouble Wolf album?
Okay.
I can answer. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a loud voice.
Yeah.
I think that whole long tour, the tour, High Violet tour, was a very, very.
It's the parade. It's here.
Oh,
It's this one. Okay.
Can you hear me? I think we got a lot closer as a band during the High Violet tour. I don't know, maybe you can hear me, right? Yeah. The band, we got a lot closer because it was such a long and amazing tour, but very stressful. And then you see a lot of that anxiety and stress. The movie's mostly centered around my brother and him dealing with his struggles. But I think all of that, even my relationship with my brother and the band's, our relationship together, the movie in many ways, when you see in the movie, was a kind of a turning point for our band in terms of interpersonally. We crossed over into a thing where now we sort of accept our chemistry and we accept our differences. Like my brother and I have learned to sort of accept each other as being very different people. And even everybody in the band, we still fight all the time, but High Violet, when we made Trouble Will Find Me, there was a different chemistry, for sure, between the five of us, and it was a much sort of more understanding and patient chemistry or something like that. So, that tour, and even in the process of making the film and the other guys seeing the film, definitely brought us all, kind of glued us together even more as a band, and I think it had a significant effect on the new record, yeah. And then the first song on the new record was written about my brother, in some ways and stuff. So all of that tour and everything had a large effect on the new record. It might all the piece might fall apart pretty soon, but right now it's pretty good, yeah.
Maybe another one.
I'm Matt. It's really a pleasure to be talking to you right now. You have always been portrayed as a sad band, or as maybe depressed. But this movie kind of shows you a bit more, or your band a bit more happy, or because this is more of a comic movie. And also in your latest video clip of the song Restless, you are all partying if I can go up there and shake hands with you. Perfect for me. Because yesterday was my birthday and it would be like...
Happy birthday. And, well, my brother, I mean, we, as a band, we are probably a lot sillier, and I am much more, I'm not as depressed as maybe, dark as it sounds like in the records. I think just the chemistry of our band, that's a lot of our music goes into those dark areas. So, but in our real lives, we're not quite that, I mean, we're troubled, as anybody is, but same common troubles, but my brother had a specific goal with the movie to try to show the other side of what he knew of me, the other side of my personality. So he did want to show a lighter side of the band and of me. And so a lot of what you see him filming us doing kind of silly things and was his idea of how to show that we're silly. But he has 50 hours of that goofball stuff, but it wasn't good enough to tell a story. It was just backstage silliness. So the dynamic of my brother Tom in the situation on tour and our dynamic together is both funny and serious at the same time. And so I think that actually represents kind of the chemistry of how our band is. I mean, we do have a light side, but it's not all just goofball light side stuff. It's this it's somewhere in between. It walks the line between funny and sad. A lot of our music does that, and I think my brother ultimately kind of realized that that's where the best stuff is. Not the super silly stuff and not the super melodramatic stuff. It's the stuff that's kind of right in between. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, can you not? Oh, I'm so fucking jealous. Can yeah.
Another one, maybe right there?
All the way in the back?
All the way in the back?
Well, my question is about your writing process. How is it? Do you edit your lyrics much, or does it come flowing naturally, and you just make a little cut?
I used to write a lot of ideas in books and stuff, but starting about 2 records ago, I think, somewhere even before High Violet, I started mostly just thinking about melody and kind of mumbling along nonsense to the music, music ideas and sketches, and I actually found that was an easier way to write because it made me think less about the specific, ideas and what the songs are supposed to be about, and by just looking for melody, it opened up my brain to let other ideas come in, lyrically. So once I had a melody that I liked, I found that words and ideas for what the song was about started to kind of stick to that melody and kind of, a good melody attracts words in weird ways, and the sounds of words ultimately in many cases were more important than what the theme of the song was about, and so it actually really helped me to, I think, write better when I stopped thinking so much about writing words and just focusing on the music and the melody. So now I sit there with my laptop and a glass of wine and just kind of sing along until something sort of works.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Andrea, do you mind here? I'm making this on purpose.
I can probably hear you.
Hi, Matt. Pleasure to you. My question is, what is your criteria for choosing the set lists on a tour? I mean, if you think sometimes, I mean, in this city or in this country they miss more of that record, or just balancing songs from all the records.
Well, Aaron always he thinks about that all the time, and he kind of does the set list, and so he often knows like what we've played a lot in the past, so we'll try to sometimes play different things. But we do know we have 2 hours when we play. We know that there's certain songs that we really want to do, and so it's probably between each show there's probably 5 or 6 songs that change, but then there's about 15 that are probably going to be there every night in our strongest songs. So unless we're playing in the same place multiple nights, then we'll change it more. Yeah. So. Yeah, great.
Hi. I was about to ask if you were during all the touring, were you afraid your dynamic, both with you and your brother and you and the band, would be at stake for any reason? You know, with all the fighting and all the things going on with your brother.
Did we worry about what was going to happen between?
Yeah, with the dynamic between you and your brother and you and the band.
Yeah. Well, it was. I mean, our band has 2 sets of brothers, and so they loved Tom, and they loved having Tom around, and it was mostly the tension happened between Tom and I, and then Tom and Brandon, who's our tour manager, who's by the way, a really amazing, great guy. And he and Tom are very, very good friends still, but I think the whole band kind of understood and respected how tricky it can be, when brothers are doing something creative together and living together and traveling together and stuff. So everybody in the band was really happy that Tom was around, because they were happy that I was always kind of on my own and they had each other. So it was a good thing, and they were all very, very supportive of the whole thing. But there was a really, I think I put, by hiring Tom to do a certain kind of job, which is not a job that he was very good at, or even I would be very good at, I put him in a very tricky spot. And then I also put Brandon in his boss in a very tricky spot. So when the friction happened on tour, when Tom got fired, I had to respect Brandon, because that's, he's in charge of all that. And so, but then at the same time, I also understood that wasn't a job that Tom was really cut out to do. I mean, some people, that kind of detail work is not where he shines, but there are other things that I know my brother, is amazing at, and so him finishing this film, and when we brought him in to live with us, it was because I knew I wasn't sure, but I thought he'd be able to make a great movie. I got it, he did. But the whole thing, like I said, actually, there were many times where the band was a little bit worried about what the film would expose, just uncomfortable things, and in fact it does, like, the conversations with Brian in the shower and about drugs, and the band members don't always feel, I don't look, necessarily cool the whole time, but the fact that my brother Tom was putting so much stuff, so much raw and unguarded stuff of himself into the film, everybody in the band was, when they finally saw it, was very happy with it. Even though many of the things that went in the movie, they specifically told Tom, don't put that in the movie. The Brian stuff especially, but that's what the movie became all about. So it worked fine, and the whole band was really, really at the end. Everyone was worried, but it turned out everybody was really happy with it. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any questions up there? Yes.
Hi, Matt. Welcome to Portugal. Was again. My question, I don't know if you had time to know about Talk Fest and the whole concept behind it, but my question is plain and simple. Would you rather prefer play on a festival or in-house in a room like the one that you are playing tonight? Thank you.
What was the festival?
No.
Tonight, in Melbourne. Would you rather prefer to play?
I do think, big music festivals are a very different kind of experience for everybody. There's a different kind of experience for people going to the festivals and for bands. I like them both. If I were going to see my band, I'd probably want to go see it inside a room at nighttime, you know. But then again, we played some amazing festivals where it's like in a beautiful setting and it's at night and it can be amazing, you know, festivals. So we enjoy both of them, but I like the dark inside, you know, clubs the most, I think. Right now we're starting to play a lot of much bigger places like arenas and stuff, and we're evolving and try to make that big room feel small, and it's not always easy, but I think we're doing a pretty good job. Is anybody coming to the show tonight?
Yes. Obviously. No.
Hi. What was the song for you?
Say it again?
Sorry. What was the hardest album that the National made?
The best.
Hardest.
Oh, the hardest album to make? The hardest album for us to make, actually, probably Boxer, I think. Boxer was really hard because with the album before that, with Alligator, we got a shot, like our foot was in the door a little bit. And so we realized that we could either try to make another album just like Alligator or do something different. And there was a lot of stress. Even our label wanted another record just like Alligator, but we realized if we made another record that was just like Alligator, then we'd be stuck. You know, we would paint ourselves into a corner a little bit. So making Boxer, we really wanted to make something different, and I didn't want to scream my head off like I did on Alligator so much. And so there was a lot of anxiety inside the band because we knew we had a shot to be a band that mattered or would stick around, or we could disappear. You know, so many bands have one record and then the next one they disappear. So it was a hard one to figure out what to do with, and it was a hard one to write. And Aaron had sort of a nervous breakdown, and his lung collapsed and all kinds of stuff. So, but I think we made the right choice by making a record that was very different than the one before, because it allowed us to then do whatever we wanted from there on. You know, we didn't put ourselves into a box. So.
We just have 3 minutes, so maybe one fast question.
Hello, Matt.
Hi.
It's such a pleasure to be speaking with you.
Thanks.
This was a really emotional documentary about a brother relationship. So you are famous, and I think your brother was trying to find his way. So my question is, did this documentary change his life?
Did the documentary change my brother's life? Yeah, he still lives with me. The movie
Because
is coming
brothers.
out, it's going to be available in some theaters, but also mostly, to buy. So he might. It's a good question. Right now he's been going to film festivals all over, and it's given him a huge injection of confidence and happiness. And so it has changed his life in some ways, but then he's also very worried about this could be, maybe this documentary about our band is his only thing. And so he's stressed out about that. And you know, it makes sense. So he is in the process of trying to figure out how to use the success of this movie to help him do something else that he's really good at. I don't think he wants to make another documentary. You know, I don't think he's going to get hired to make a documentary. He's going to make this movie, but so it's a weird thing. You know, he's really successful. He's been successful making something that everybody knows he probably can't make another one of those. And so he's in a tricky spot. And I love it. I mean, he's helping get this movie out into the world and all that kind of stuff. And after the movie's out there, I think he got used to being in front of the camera and likes being in front of the camera. So he's taking a lot of acting courses and improv courses. And I think he's finding his feet, you know, in very different ways. Not as a documentary filmmaker, and he's been writing scripts and that kind of stuff. So he also had a girlfriend for a little while. So yeah, it's been a huge change for him. Is it easy street for Tom? No, not a, you know, like, I don't think it is. It's still an upwards climb to try to do anything creative in the world. So, but yeah, I mean, he's confident now. Yeah, one more. Oh, sorry, say again.
My question is simple. Can you expand to focus?
Yeah, of course. I can answer one more question. Anybody else?
Oh, look at his fucking socks. Look at this. Oh my God. Look at this fucking socks. And his fucking face. Can we not? I can even deal. Oh.
Just one. I'm sorry. Just one last question. You can make the question.
Can I make the question now?
No.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, for
Can I go too?
for which I'm not expecting political.
Give me my Italian banner.
You travel
Where's
around,
your
you travel
Italian?
around a lot, I'm sure. So you must have your favorite cities or countries to visit. So, what are your favorite cities or countries?
Well, we've been. This is our
Give me the
11th time
iPad.
here, right? So this is
Give
obviously
me
one.
the iPad. As soon as I need a pen. Yeah, I need a pen.
I mean, there are other places that love us, but like Dublin is a place that we have a very special connection with. But Lisbon, I think Lisbon and Dublin and Zagreb are probably those three cities. For some reason, we've had these amazing times and been treated so well, and so that's a very sincere answer. This is up in the tied with the top with Dublin and Zagreb. So
we're real sorry, Matt.
sorry, you guys.
Go ahead. Move along, sir. Is there in a hurry?
Thank you.